Hi folks, Jeff here. Just wanted to let you know to be on the lookout later this week for a bonus episode on Peeboo and the Cats. I first learned about Presley and her dad, TNT Traysikel's Paolo Asuncion, in the documentary 1000% Me. Then I saw her band, Peeboo and the Cats, play, first at the Fanny Show as part of last year's Camfest, and then again at one of last summer's undiscovered Soma Pilipinas events. This young band is so inspiring, so please check out their bonus episode this Thursday. Okay, on with the show.
There's something that's really magical, something very, very special that happens when you get a bunch of people who don't know each other on the street, singing songs together, clapping, playing musical instruments, like doing harmonies and like dancing. It's pretty phenomenal.
That was Rachel Lastimosa, one of the 3 humans who collaborate on TNT Traysikel. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco, a podcast all about the artists, activists, and small businesses that make this city so unique. This episode is part 2 on TNT. Rachel is joined once again by her fellow Filipinos, friends, and art collaborators, Mike Arcega and Paolo Asuncion. It's another long one, so I'll turn it over to the TNT team. Here's Paolo.
I took a picture of this guy I took a photo of this guy who's running for district supervisor.
Which district?
9.
The Mission.
The Mission.
Among others.
And there was he was with this group of 4 people, and all 4 of them had seen this before in different places.
Yeah.
Where you were in it?
No, because one of them recognized me, and he's like, "Yeah, remember, I flagged you down. I was going down the 24th Street with this thing, and he flagged me down.
Whoa.
He's like, stop! I want to see that." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then that prompted the other. So and he's like, "Oh, this guy has this thing. This." And so I whipped out a picture of it. And the other 3 are like, "Oh, I saw that at SF MoMA. Oh, I saw that at..." All these people had like these different experiences with it.
I'm just going to say it's memorable. So which came first, you all meeting or the Traysikel?
Meeting.
Okay,
Meetings,
so let's
yeah.
hear that story. Whoever wants to tell it. All of y'all.
Did we meet first? I think we
met
met
first,
first,
yeah.
and then we met. Yeah. Tell it.
So I was at an art opening in Hayes Valley, was it?
No, it was
No.
it's a
In
solo.
the Mission.
In the Mission.
Yeah.
It was at Art Gallery.
Arc.
Arc.
Oh yeah, Arc, yeah.
And this guy walks in with a helmet. And I'm a rider also, a motorcycle rider, so, when that happens, riders like, "Oh, what do you ride?" And then he told me it was a scooter, so...
Conversation
So
over.
I changed the topic. So I don't know how it came about that we discovered we were both Filipino. And I'm like, "So what's your last name?" And he said, Arcega. I'm like, "Oh, shit, that's... my brother, when we were in the Philippines, had a best friend whose name was Don Arcega." And he said, "That's my brother."
No way.
So our brothers knew each other when they were...
That is wackadoodle.
Yeah. When they were 10.
I love it.
I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
When they were
they grew up.
kids.
They were. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
and
were
we
at school
hadn't met.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and
Didn't
then
even know of
No.
each other.
Yeah.
And then we ran into each other at an art opening.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, I think we were talking about acupuncture or whatever. Anyways, we just started hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
We both were. I was climbing back then. He still
Yeah.
climbs.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that. We both rode. So did we ever go on any ride or anything? But
Yeah. Well, this is later after when I was pitching the TNT idea.
that's right.
We went on a
were in
ride
the city.
together. Yeah. But yeah, that was the meeting. But I knew that Paolo was working on some kind of filming projects and had this Handsome Asians Motorcycle Club spoof YouTube
Series.
channel.
Oh.
And so I thought, like, I found this out later, as we got to know each other.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was cool, and just kind of kept that in the back of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, what year was that? 2017.
17.
Yeah, so this is a year after Soma became Soma Pilipinas Cultural Heritage District. I was invited to join the Arts and Culture Administrating.
Already part of.
And so, which was running the show.
Okay,
Yeah.
integral to.
Partly.
yeah.
The art and
Yeah.
cultural
Do you wanna
section of it, yeah.
share that piece.
Yeah, so the Arts and Culture Committee was of Soma Pilipinas, which is the San Francisco Filipino Cultural Heritage District, was comprised of legacy organizations, arts organizations like Manila Town, like KSW, Cool Arts, Bindlestiff Studio, as well as artist collectives and individual artists. And so I think it was Weston Teruya who introduced us to Mike Arcega, because a lot of the work that we were doing through the cultural district was placemaking and public art, and we really wanted to connect the residents, the people that live in South of Market, and just really highlight that there's like families that live there, and that there's elders and children, and that family aspect of the South of Market, to like really counter the narrative of a lot of the tech that moved in, right? And partly it was for like the visibility of, okay, what does it feel like to be in a place and be recognized as like, oh, yeah, I actually belong here. I feel like I belong here. And so we were, really contemplating how to do that through art. And through placemaking, placekeeping, which is why we were connecting with different artists through that Arts and Culture Committee.
So I guess for listeners who have now listened to part one, like, let's hear a little bit about like what you were doing at the time that Soma Pilipinas found you.
Yeah, I was already a professor at San Francisco State.
Okay.
Go Gators. I was running the sculpture and expanded practice area, and I've known some of the members of the Arts and Culture Committee prior to being invited. I had been doing some public art already, and I've had relationships with folks in Bindlestiff, which is a black box Filipino American theater in Soma. And it was kind of nice to kind of re-engage the district and the communities in that area. And while Soma Pilipinas was kind of gathering data and trying to figure out what the community needed and wanted, the San Francisco Arts Commission was also trying to reach out to the demographic that would be in the district. And it was at that point I was like, I should try for this thing and get a grant. And then remembering Paolo, and I've done some projects that had to do with kind of inserting Filipino American objects in the landscape, and kind of that assertion of being there and belonging there. So we were talking about, some of the things that were brought up were like a jeepney, which is a World War II relic that was left in the Philippines, very iconic object there. And being a writer, I was like, well, we can do a tricycle, especially with the budget that the Arts Commission was providing. And that's when I reached out to Paolo and was like, do you want to apply for this thing? And he said, yeah, let's do it. We were initially going to build it from scratch.
Okay.
Get a scrap motorcycle, And then we were gonna build the carriage because I had access to a welding facility, and Paolo's built a bike as part of the dirt bag competition.
I was in the middle of that web series that he was talking about, called which is, it's not really a spoof. It's kind of a spoof, but it is a response to the state of the kind of motorcycle subculture at that time, which was really macho and really, when you would see any build videos back then of motorcycles, it's like a dark garage and it's slow-mo and it sparks. Like, nobody builds like that, you know? Like, you want it as bright as possible, you know what I mean? But most of my work is kind of subversive in that way and kind of contrarian. Like, it's always a response to something, obviously, right? So before the web series, I had put out a couple documentaries that enjoyed some success, and the web series was kind of like a continuation of that.
Got it.
So when he approached me with it, my first thought was like, this is a great episode for this web series.
Right.
And also, it's a tricycle. It's a Filipino tricycle. But back then, I wasn't thinking about it in the sense of it being a Filipino thing, or its place
cultural
in the community, or politically even, you know what I mean? But this was this during the Trump administration already? It was.
Yeah,
but it was
2018.
like 17, 18? Okay.
Yeah.
But it was before COVID. And COVID is what really, like, magnified all those problems.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I thought it would be a great project, both as a motorcycle build and as a film project, and just like a new thing to do, you know what I mean?
And so then, as soon as you guys decided to, was it like an application, or you had to to get a grant or something?
Yeah, we got the grant. I mean, I wrote the grant with that idea that the tricycle would be an object that signaled the presence of the Filipino American community, Filipinos in the area, and because it is such an iconic thing as well. It's kind of like the little cousin of the jeepney, but it's the lesser known cousin, and we thought it would be fun. We thought we could pick up like the manongs and manangs and just take them around and take them to the grocery store. It was just to have a presence in Soma, as like a kind of roving sculpture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when did you learn of, like, was it still in the idea phase, or like when did you come into the picture of this thing specifically?
I think it was after the grant.
Yeah, we got the grant.
And then the first time I laid eyes on it was Parole Fest.
Yeah,
when it was naked.
That was the first. That was the requirement. You have to do certain
milestones,
deliverables, and that was to engage community in some way.
To have it at the festival.
Yeah,
Okay.
That was 2019.
That was 2019.
Yeah.
But you kind of hinted, you're like, it didn't look like that yet.
Yeah.
No, and it didn't have karaoke either.
It wasn't
Right.
painted.
That was.
So, but actually, let's back up just real fast. Like, how did y'all? So you get the grant. How did you?
The build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you build it, or?
No.
Well, first of all, let me add also that the reason we thought of something that would be moving up and down the space is because if we, like in Chinatown, if you have an arch or a lantern, it just stays there. And Soma Pilipinas is so big
huge, yeah.
that if we built one thing that would stand on the corner of Folsom and Russ or whatever, then not everybody would see it. You know?
No.
So aside from like bringing all the manongs and manangs to the grocery, manongs and manangs are the elders.
Elders. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We thought like
I can't say it, but I know what it is.
say it.
Manong.
Manong.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manong.
Manong.
Manong. Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, you
Great.
can.
You just did it.
All my friends are like, yeah, no.
Yeah, so we thought like, something that would go up and down the street and, make
Be
a lot of...
visible.
Be visible, yeah.
Well,
Be loud, be visible.
also part of the issue too with South of Market as a district is just like the difficulty in owning.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when I was working with the cultural district, like talking about, you know, with developers, like what would Filipino presence look like in the facade of a building, you know, and then having these like also like these internal questions of what does Filipino presence look like
Yeah.
because of so much colonization.
Yeah.
So, you know, part of like that information and data collection was a lot of like design charrettes and like, just a lot of like asking those questions to elders, to the manangs, to the manongs, to the kids and everyone in between about what does it mean to be Filipino?
Right.
Yeah.
So how did it evolve then? Like, were y'all driving?
Yeah.
The elderly people?
No, we ended up. Well, the build turned out to be different than when we imagined. So as soon as we got the grant, actually Leanne Ladia, who used to run Somcan, or worked at Somcan, sorry, reached out and was like, "There's a tricycle in Modesto that's for sale."
Oh shit.
And so we were like,
how did she know?
Because we were working with different community stakeholders to run this idea of what the tricycle might look like.
Okay.
So we were checking in with folks.
So like, she's on Craigslist or what?
She
Like,
was
how'd
looking
find-
on Craigslist.
She
Yeah.
found
For tricycle?
Craigslist.
I don't know how she found it, but she found it. and then so we bought it, and then went to Modesto. Paolo and I drove over there and put it in a
Tell
U-Haul.
him what it was doing in Modesto.
A
Good
pastor.
question.
A pastor, white American pastor, spent time in the Philippines, and I guess fell in love with tricycles, the community there, and he had gone for several trips, and one of these trips he had the sidecar shipped,
Wow.
and then assembled it here, and would drive his congregation around, and had it sitting for a few years until he decided he needed a truck more than he needed a tricycle.
Well, he is an American, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Before anything
Yeah.
else. And he lives in Modesto, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
Lucky y'all, though,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
we bought it off of him, and brought it back, and we did a lot of repair work to it.
I was going to say, was it running already, or...
It was
maybe
running, but
not,
it wasn't
not well.
It wasn't customized like this,
Yeah.
and a lot of the support structure underneath was questionable. Very.
Yeah, yeah.
Some
Unsafe,
bolts
at least?
Yeah, it was unsafe.
Very unsafe.
We had
Yeah,
to
yeah.
take it apart, and this is after we had put our kids in it.
Yeah.
And we discovered that it was kind of just
We lifted
one,
it and we're like,
literally
"Oh, fuck!"
one bolt
Yeah.
short of it falling apart.
Yeah.
Literally.
Literally, yeah.
So we took it
Scary.
apart, we re-welded, added support, kind of created all the other frameworks for it.
Okay.
But it was before we had it painted with our friend Ming. So the Parol Stroll, that Rachel was talking about, was this festival of Filipino lanterns for the holidays, for Christmas, really. And it was at that time when we were standing around it, being kind of stoked on ourselves, like, oh, we did it, we did the deliverable.
Just the two of you?
Just the two of us
Okay.
at that point.
Yeah.
And then we had a parol on the front here. We
right.
hooked it up to a battery.
A car battery.
Yeah, and then it was lighting up. It was then we were playing Christmas,
We had a
Filipino
little
Christmas music.
Bluetooth
Yeah.
speaker, like literally like
Little.
this.
Oh,
small,
yeah.
just the
Yeah, I have that
little
one at
guys.
home, yeah.
Yeah.
And we were just playing Christmas music, Tagalog Christmas music from my iPhone, and people would come in and sit in it and like sing along to the music. I'm like, oh shit, this needs karaoke.
Christmas light bulbs were going off. Yeah. So that's how karaoke started.
Yeah.
Okay. What
Yeah.
year would that have been?
It was
19.
2019, yeah.
So-
that was a year
oh,
after we... So we
right
had
before the
completed the
pandemic,
grant.
Before.
Okay.
And then at that point we worked out. We didn't work out, but we were trying to figure out how to make the karaoke better. We had like magic mics. Like we went through several different iterations, and it was good enough at times, but it wasn't like the central thing. The main thing was to show up, and be visible. We ended up another scooterist, a vintage scooterist, just so you know, Michelle Wynn, who is a painter, sign painter, and a friend, and
happened to be my neighbor.
And happened to be Rachel's neighbor. That was crazy.
Yeah.
So crazy.
That was so crazy. Yeah, and then so she pretty much like helped us design the graphic look of TNT.
Okay, and did she execute?
Yeah,
She
every
did it
single
all.
except for some points where we assisted. She painted the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did y'all start calling it the TNT Traysikel?
Oh.
And where does that come from?
Pretty early on.
TNT.
We were thinking of like it on the original grant application. The project name was Traysikel Lolo, which is tricycle, and Lolo, which is grandfather.
Okay.
Well, Lolo is also crazy in Hawaii.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like crazy trike.
But then
It was a working title. Okay.
yeah. No, I wasn't saying anything. But then we started thinking about what to name it, because you name your motorcycles, and I don't know how we thought of TNT.
You
But-
might have said TNT. You might have said TNT tricycle.
Well, you do like bringing fireworks wherever you
Yeah.
go.
I was gonna say, is it like Dynamite or is it like the TV station?
Well,
Well, TNT means tago ng tago.
TNT is
Okay.
dynamite for
Also,
folks,
for the
most
uninitiated.
American folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was a magazine back in the day.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and it's what it was. JJ's catchphrase on Good Times.
Oh,
Dynamite.
dynamite. Yeah.
Yeah.
TNT has that. Definitely has that. It's that.
Yeah.
But among Filipinos,
For undocumented.
Okay.
So
it means
it-
hiding
Tago ng
and
tago.
hiding or always
Tago
hiding.
ng tago is hiding, is always hiding, which I mean, what it really means is like you're always moving. And you're always one step ahead of immigration, So so you don't get caught and deported.
Yeah.
And it's what Filipinos talk about when they meet new Filipinos, or when a new Filipino comes to the States. They'll talk about document status, and if they're undocumented, they'll be it's always said in whispers, and and like hushed tones.
But you don't want the man to hear.
No, TNT ba?
Yeah.
You're like,
And the whole thing has a lot of kind of double entendres and kind of built into it. And Filipinos are very flexible and good at code switching and are able to like socially kind of alter or manipulate the situation. So there's that really kind of nice metaphor of the Filipino immigrant situation.
Mm-hmm.
and again, it happened during those years. It was COVID by the time we had named that. No, it wasn't.
I don't
No,
know.
no.
It was before COVID.
But it was during the Trump administration,
Right.
when, we were just thinking that let's put TNT in bright bright letters in front of this thing, and just be like out and loud and proud about it, and enough hiding.
Yeah.
You were gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, when we finally got the karaoke system good enough to actually have people going, we knew that Rachel was an amazing singer and always like down to sing a song. We're like, Rachel would be a great host.
Well, you've had other hosts.
We've had
Nix
yeah.
was
we
the
kind of-
first one. It was
Yeah,
Nix, right?
yeah.
Wasn't it Nix?
Yeah, but it was like, and Rachel had been there from the beginning. Like this thing was inspired in many ways by being in those conversations around what the community needed, what the landscape was really like thirsty for. Like there's hardly any signal presence, visible representation of the Filipino American culture And so we applied for a second grant to make a film from the Arts Commission. And in that, we needed someone that also like knew the kind of dynamic of TNT as an artwork, but also as this like community medium. We were also kind
and also
of
the film
needed help.
We were thinking of the film having like this musical component to it, and we knew she was a great musician. So
one thing that I don't think I've heard any of you guys talk about, and maybe it's just oversight or whatever, but also it's fun as fuck, right? It brings joy.
yeah.
Is that important to y'all? Like, was that
Yeah,
important to get it in
absolutely.
there? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you'd do karaoke if it, or it wouldn't look like that if that wasn't important to you.
Yeah. Do you want to jump in, Rachel? Like,
Sure.
When you came in, because that's kind of when you came in was when the karaoke side karaoke was really taking off.
It definitely was. And I think that's what it started to become known for, was like this activation for gathering and for party and just having a fun time. And I
Like,
think,
looking at that video, it's like, who needs a sideshow? Nothing against, no shame on, but like, that's amazing.
yeah, and it's there's something that's really magical, something very, very special that happens when you get a bunch of people who don't know each other on the street singing songs together, clapping, playing musical instruments, like doing harmonies and like dancing. It's pretty phenomenal.
We'll get back. I want to interject. It also happened at this point during COVID,
Right.
when it was just opening up and people had been inside for 4 or 5 months. You know,
They wanted.
Yeah, the
They
first
were
activations,
desperate.
we were all
Yeah.
still masked.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And then, like in our rider for wherever we were activating, we just needed like sanitate,
Yeah,
wipes
right.
for the
That's
right.
microphones.
And
Oh,
mic
yeah.
covers.
Mic
I still have a
covers.
bunch of them.
Yeah. So there were precautions, but I think just people needed connection and like in person sharing. Also, something that's been said too is because I think so many folks like for so long have been like cloistered in confined spaces for such a long time that they weren't able to be as loud as they could, and so just being able to just like sing or scream or vent, do whatever, and have this like whole menu to choose from, or even go off menu. It was like a way for people to just release. And even without the karaoke, like if people write in it or if they just see it, like folks just either are very confused and just like, what the fuck is this? And other people are like, this is amazing. I haven't been in one of these since I was a child. Or
Oh, wow, yeah.
even like, I was born in one of these.
Yeah.
Like all the stories.
Conceived in one?
No, yeah.
Probably.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe some-
We haven't heard that story. If any of you
Not
out there would like to
Do a
rent,
reenactment. No.
for a fee,
Like a cruise.
yeah, to
Or a
conceive.
Waymo.
we should
Yeah,
start.
like a Waymo.
We should start an OnlyFans.
Oh, shit.
No, we should not.
TNT OnlyFans.
The new TNT channel.
Yeah, it's all Rachel's feet.
Right.
So how does, I mean, I don't know if it's a day-to-day operation, but, like, do you all have roles in, like, and what's happening with, let's say, in the next 3 months?
I've
3 to
been
6
asking
months?
these guys like
Wait.
what my role is since I've joined the team.
You're the glue.
Totally.
You're the
I'm
glue.
the reframer.
I think we just heard you're the one who shoots down bad ideas, like getting an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like I started off as like they invited me to be part of the film, and then I kind of got wrangled into like becoming a host for the karaoke, and
You're host first.
Was I?
Weren't
Yeah, I
think
was a
so.
host.
your host goes first?
Maybe.
I don't think so, actually.
I don't know. And then it started to morph more into like a collaborator of all the things that the Traysikel has been asking us to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to put
We
it.
are
Yeah, I mean-
servants of.
Yeah, I mean, we've said this in other conversations where like this project has taken, what's the
A life of its own.
term? Yeah, and we're just kind of catching up to it.
Behind the eight ball, as they say.
Because the community is like the owner of this
Yeah.
of this project, and it really speaks to how folks engage with it, and I think we're really just keeping up with how the community connects with the Traysikel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on.
So there is the joy, and then also through this process is the grief that has kind of has been extracted through storytelling, and so I think we're all kind of doing these different parts of being able to support like that whole range
Spectrum,
of
maybe.
of the way that this project, that the Traysikel like shows up for community.
Yeah. And I feel like that duality, at least, and then everything in between, is similar to that, being bilingual or the double entendre of TNT and TNT. It's also like it provides a kind of joyful event, but it also is a space for people to be able to share their kind of grief and their loss. Because in immigrating, one is met with kind of the future, going up the escalator of San Francisco, but then there's also the loss of friends and relationships that one has left behind. So
Right.
there's that part, and so we've been focusing more on collecting those narratives from folks.
It's
lately.
awesome.
Yeah, besides the TNT side karaoke activations, which are big and loud and karaoke, we do this thing called side notes,
Okay.
where it's more focused on one person or two, however, maybe three if they can fit in there, and it's all about people telling us their stories, and it's all about TNT being the collector of those stories and also the archiver of all those stories.
Oh, that's awesome.
And as far as roles go, we all act as producers of these events.
Okay.
But Rachel does a lot of the interviewing,
Okay.
and I do a lot of the chronicling of it with the film background and all that.
Right.
And yeah, Mike is
Just walks around.
just walks around,
Just looks pretty.
talks to people.
Try to recruit.
Yeah.
The same thing for any of like these big events too. We're all kind of like because we all have lives, So if he's busy, then I'll act as producer for something. If I'm busy, he'll act as producer.
But we
for something.
also have different skill sets, and I think they're very complementary. And we lean heavy on one person when that's needed, and so whatever it takes,
It's a collaboration.
it's absolutely a collaboration.
Yeah.
And even
I love
moving
it.
forward, like in the kind of future, we were just awarded a Rainin Foundation Arts Fellowship.
Okay.
So we have support to move forward with a longer term, larger budget project.
There's a hint on the board right there.
So are y'all taking this shit national?
Yeah.
All right. When's that happening?
I want to
When
do it
we
this
figure
summer.
out this summer.
Next summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do
Okay.
a shakedown
This
summer.
summer we're doing a shakedown test of
Okay.
everything. So
Well, maybe somewhere we can end that's kind of related to that. I was going to ask, like, I know you have an Instagram, but, like, for people who are listening to this, and it sounds like maybe a YouTube channel or something. I just want to, like, for people who are listening to this, like, how do they follow you, learn more, go to events, watch videos? Like, if you can Plug away.
Yeah, our Instagram is at TNT _ Traysikel. TRAYSIKEL.
And our YouTube at TNT Side Karaoke
Oh, interesting.
with a C. Side Karaoke.
Like sidecar.
Oh, with the C.
Sidecar.
Sidecar
sidecar.
karaoke.
Okay.
And I just have to say, like, the framing that we have taking this nationally is really like the cohesion of the side karaoke and side notes projects combined together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this exploration of seeking out communities who want to share their origin stories and then also celebrate and do their own like shakedown of what that experience is like by becoming visible and singing karaoke.
I mean, what they just go together so well. It just
In a weird way, they do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all are gonna have a film crew with you, right? Or are you
Might
the
be
film
looking
crew?
at it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know those roles we were talking about?
Yeah.
All the roles.
And looks like you got a couple extra spare motorcycles that we can join along. Like me and my friend Ange, we can just follow y'all.
Do you guys ride at all? No.
I never have.
Okay.
That's why I had to leave Texas. They're just like, get out of here. I don't ride
Because
horses.
you don't ride a motorcycle?
Okay, I actually lied. What I want to end with every season on my podcast, I have a theme. And the theme is We're All in It. Can I just get you all to think about what that means to you?
Mike and Rachel have these stories of how they fell in love with San Francisco. I kind of, I was married, I was divorced, I had this bout with substance abuse for a little bit. So I was always just kind of, I'm here. I came here on purpose because I fell in love with the place, but then life happened and fucking shit happened.
Yeah.
And so for the longest time I was just kind of here. It wasn't really until this project that I fell in love with San Francisco again, and it
All good?
it's because of this community.
Yeah.
Why am I crying about this?
All good,
Because it's a
dude.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
love us. You love us.
And because the community loves you.
If you're not crying, I
Yeah,
haven't done my
because
job.
like fucking, you're an immigrant. You come from this. You come to the States and you're like, oh, I'm gonna try to assimilate as best as I can, and you fucking become a graphic designer and then an art director, then a creative director, and then you're a fucking vice president of a design agency in San Jose, and you're like, I've made it, I'm here, and you're at a dinner with a bunch of clients, and you're like the only brown guy there, right? And because you just got their you just got the account, so it's a big celebration. And then outside the fucking restaurant, some guy approaches you and gives you his valet ticket. You know what I mean?
Right.
Fuck, man.
Right.
So all that work for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like fucking Jesus Christ. I'm still just I'm the wrong brown guy too. Is like, are you like the one of the Mexicans? He's fucking. I said like, do I look like the valet person to you? He's like, yeah, you look Mexican. Fucking Jesus Christ.
Right here in the Bay Area. Yeah. I was gonna say like this flies in the face of a lot that's out there in the world.
Kind of
right?
like
It's
why it's all like, yeah, fuck you, TNT. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All these colors and just, loudspeaker and karaoke. So it's when I found like this community again, which I had found before when I first moved here, because I told you I'd like worked for as a graphic designer. That was for a Filipino magazine.
Oh, awesome.
But then I left that to get whiter.
Yeah, to chase the money.
To chase the money and
yeah.
not be in the community and like be in a more mainstream environment. And,
Right.
So. But now that I'm here and exposed to these beautiful people again and this beautiful community, it's like, yeah, that's why I love San Francisco.
Okay. You guys want to take a stab at it, Mike and Rachel?
Well, when you said we're all in it together, I had a sudden image of a kind of mycelic, like tendrils. Shut up! You see, we are connected.
Under here somehow.
I mean, I was.
Also, you're speaking my language, Dad.
I was recently talking about what I was talking with my wife about what I would do, what we should do, I should do with my body, they should do with my body when I
become
die.
a mushroom.
Yeah,
Okay.
Like
and then
Luke
get
Perry.
buried under a tree and be part of a forest. And I feel like, in this weird way, that we are already kind of in that way. Like we kind of think alike in some ways, and what one person does affects the other, and we are literally in it together. I mean, when we're connected through media, like we know what's happening in Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
We know that so much suffering is happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wake up to that every morning and I feel their pain.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel other people's joy. And we're complex creatures and we can feel multiple things simultaneously. And sometimes it's hard to do that. And I don't know. I mean, I just in that sentiment, we really are just all in it together.
Wow. Mycelium network.
Yeah.
I
That's not even
seriously.
the
Shut
word.
up, you're gonna say
Myceliate? What?
Mycelic.
Mycelic.
Yeah. Like, that's what I thought of too. But I guess in thinking about this project and how it relates to home, how it relates to like belonging and longing and all of those things, talking about like the immigration experience. I don't even think we've spoken about land.
No?
And I mean, like, this podcast is about land. This podcast is it's about San Francisco, and that's Yelamu, that's the Ohlone Ramaytush territory, and we are occupiers of that land. The Philippines has been occupied and colonized.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reasons why there is so much mass, migration, and the reason that Filipinos' largest export is labor, are people, that makes, like, the Philippine diaspora worldwide.
Right.
All over the world.
Right.
Like, and we talked about, like, what does it mean to be Filipino? What does it mean to be Filipino in Saudi Arabia versus Italy versus, Malaysia versus Chula Vista, all these places where you'll find Filipinos, and somehow, like, we figure out how to adapt, to shapeshift, to, like, network and connect with each other and, like, find those, like, ways of building community, mycelium, to be able to, like, share the stories and relay, the experiences, share the resources. And I mean, if we want to go, like, super, super weird with it,
Oh, let's get weird.
let's get weird.
Let's get weird.
So, like, I went back to the Philippines recently. I came back just a few weeks ago, and I was doing this cultural exposure, like, with indigenous communities, tribal communities, and I was lucky enough to experience ceremony with the Maguindanao tribe in Cotabato and really connect to spiritual practice.
Okay.
And I think through that, through music, through culture, it was not even, like, psychedelic induced. It was chanting, it was divination, it was, like, offerings. It was through culture that I was able to access, like, this place of spirit and this place of knowing and understanding and belonging and recognizing and remembering what we're all in it together is. In the Filipino cultural value of kapwa, that's what that is.
Familiar with kapwa.
Yeah. I was able to give my blood to the land in the Philippines so that the Philippines would know who I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like
Wow.
that. You don't need to know those details. But in the same way, like I've done that practice here in San Francisco. To be able to like own a home in the city.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
As an artist, yes.
what? Yeah.
Right? I
We
just
talk off mic about how to do that. I'm still trying to figure it out.
yeah. I mean, we got lucky in so many different ways. But I think it's important for that acknowledgement of like that we are in relationship with the land. We are in relationship with each other, you know, and with the environment, that all of it is connected.
That was Rachel Lastimosa from TNT Traysikel. On the next episode, I traveled to the edge of North Beach for a long overdue hang and conversation with Brett Klein, owner of the Lost Church San Francisco. Episode 17 drops next Tuesday wherever you get podcasts. And remember to check out our bonus episode on Peebo and the Cats this Thursday. Music for Storied San Francisco was produced, performed, and curated by Otis McDonald. Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast is our contributing producer. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in our 6th season, we have more than 200 episodes available on our website, storiedsf.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're able to, please rate and review the show, and drop us a line at storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Keep rejecting those silly doom loop narratives about our city. Stay wacky, weird, healthy, and creative. And we'll see you next time on Storied San Francisco. We acknowledge and respect the first humans of the unceded land we call San Francisco, the Ramaytush Ohlone. We condemn the genocide of these and other tribes across the Western Hemisphere. We honor their legacy and history, and we support rematriation and sovereignty efforts.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcast.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.